Hi there, this is John Drew here from Elevated Planet, and I am here today with our good friend Ruah Bull. Hi there, Ruah. How are you doing?
Hi there. Great to be with you, John.
Fantastic. So, I've convinced Ruah that we need to get her here with Elevated Planet. She's started to write some blogs for us, and I've been so blown away by the quality that I decided that rather than have her in on our usual newsletter, and we do that Ruah's Rambles conversations, which will go on, Netflix will want it and everybody will want it, but we're going to keep it going for the longest time because I love the conversation. Rua's got such a beautiful energy and fantastic wisdom, and it's just such a great thing for our community. So I decided that what we should be doing is creating a separate newsletter that will go out during the week, which will include Rua's wisdom and any videos that we're doing on the rambles and all this kind of thing. So, with deep gratitude, Ruah, thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. I don't even have words to say how grateful I am that you've given me an opportunity to share these things. And I was telling John as we started that when I check in with my guides, what is this about? Why have I been invited by these marvelous people to bring some things forward? What they keep saying is, Rua, you have all these stories, and
Yeah.
that it's about sharing the stories. And so, what John asked me to do is to read, and of course, I will read and comment, and then maybe he and I will chat about it afterwards. What I had just written a little while ago. Um, and as always, in the way, John, that you so gracefully do, what I would want to say in anything that I offered is it's just an offering. And if this
Yeah.
resonates partly or in full, that's wonderful. But sometimes hearing something and saying, no, that's not for me, can actually be just as useful because it's all about discernment in terms of what is the truth that is wanting to speak in and through me.
Yeah.
So let me offer this, and then let's just see if it's helpful for anyone. So
Thank
I
you.
called it the eagle's perch because I know that that's an image that's so important now and very much a part of Elevated Planet. While reflecting on the American election, and by the way, we're doing this 1 week after the election on November 12th, 2024, I'm reminded of a Cherokee story in which a grandfather tells a young boy, there are two wolves in the heart, love and fear. And sometimes they say love and hate. The one that flourishes is the one that you feed. As we sit in the presence of the pain that caused so many people to vote from fear and from rage, from scarcity, from judgment, we have a choice to react from our own emotions or feel them, process them, release them, and then from that cleared space, that spaciousness that we perceive when we are on the eagle's perch, then discern how to respond and what to envision. So our choice is to react or respond, to shut down an attack or envision. That's really where we are right now. As Choctaw Episcopal Bishop Stephen Charleston shares, all vision quests begin with a lament. We cry our pain to Great Spirit, and then when the tears and the anger are washed away, we can see the light of the new vision emerging. We cannot see clearly if we haven't had the opportunity to release the heaviness that is weighing us down and interfering with our capacity to see. Our choice then is to lament and then open to the creativity and new life that will make all the difference. We either ground ourselves in higher consciousness or we remain stuck and reactive. I personally believe that we are on a new path in which we are not called to choose between love and its opposite, for that maintains duality. From the eagle's perch, I see the wolf of love respond to her brother fear with profound compassion, clear boundaries, wisdom, and creativity. If there is truly only one, if there is no other in the realm of unitive consciousness, then my choice is not against fear and hate, but rather for connection, healing, and wholeness. As a wise teacher once said, love your enemies. And that is one of the challenges and invitations right now. That's actually the new bumper sticker that I had made for the back of my car. Love your enemies, right next to Make America Kind Again. And that's what's on my car.
Very good.
So feel the feelings. It's really important not to do a spiritual bypass. Bring them in, feel them in your body, honor them, acknowledge them. There's information there. So feel them, process them however you do that, and then let them go. Cut way down on social media. We know that social media was specifically designed. In fact, they did research on the brain about how to keep us triggered, how to keep us agitated. And so, right now, anything that maintains us in a state of agitation and distress and anxiety and emptiness and neediness and hunger, all of that, that is not our friend right now. That is not our teacher right now. Commit to the spiritual practices. So, find a practice that's important for you, perhaps a form of meditation or Sufi dancing. I don't care what it is. Pick a practice and do it. And do it even when it's boring. Do it even when it's aggravating. I do a centering prayer, 20-minute meditation every single morning. And there are times when I am bored out of my mind or it's a barrel of monkeys in there. But I do it because even though the 20 minutes might be challenging, my day is changed if I've taken that time to rest in that meditative state. This stuff is important medicine for us, never more important. Because again, it helps us clear the mind to open to the light. And then the love that pours in through the light is what we are elevating into right now. That wonderful eagle, as she perches on that branch, notice how her wings are open a bit as she observes, and notice how her heart is open, both mind and heart open. I was watching a wonderful piece by the astrologer Stephen Forrest the other day, who I really like, and he was talking about this Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, and he said something really interesting because Pluto is the dark mother. Pluto is the therapist. Pluto is what brings up the shadow to be seen and integrated and healed. And he said that Pluto and Capricorn reveal the shadow of the conservative mentality, this greed and attachment and imposing structures, trying to manage everybody. So there's a Capricornian energy that we've been dealing with, what we've really seen in front of our faces, that shadow. He said, but remember, Aquarius also has a shadow. And the shadow, I have Aquarius risings in my chart, so I know Aquarius well. The shadow of Aquarius is the shadow of the progressive. The bloody French Revolution occurred when Pluto was in Aquarius. In the name of power to the people, it initiated unbridled violence. So those of us who are called to a higher vibration are being asked to heal that Aquarian shadow, which can be very detached and can actually do violence in the name of the good. If we can help that be cleansed, we can free up even more energy for the divine feminine's restructuring of community cosmos. And the way this shadow can look is, and I will confess this, I was ashamed of it, but there it is. I remember quite a few years ago, there was a terrible train accident in India. Thousands of people died. And Goddess help me. I heard this voice inside say, well, India's really overpopulated. And it's not such a bad thing for people to leave. And when I stopped, it was like, what is that voice? And that is the Aquarian voice disconnected from the heart. So we are asked compassionate wisdom, compassionate wisdom, that mind that drops into the heart and sees through the eyes of light and love. And I think that that's what a lot of us are being asked to do right now. I can feel the part of me that is angry, that wants to lash out, that wants to fall down that social media black hole and consume all sorts of horrors to stoke my self-righteous disgust. By the way, self-righteousness is a big part of the Aquarian shadow. I can feel the fear that wants to just hide and protect, and the grief that is immobilizing, that it just leaves me just sick with feeling grief. So one of my practices, I walk on the beach and I pick up stones and I throw and I feel, I bring the rage into my body that I feel, and I pick up a stone and I throw that into the water. And I feel the fear. And I even go into, I don't know what the other people on the beach think, but I ignore them. I go into a stance of fear, which is really closed in. And then I pick up a stone and I throw that into the water. And then the grief that just makes me want to drop to the ground at times. And I pick up a stone and I throw that into the waters of the mother. And I ask that my balance be restored so that I might be an instrument in the heart and the hands of the holy. Another practice I'll mention is that I work a lot with subtle aromatherapy. And in my shower now, I have eucalyptus globulus, which is the oil for rage and anger. And if I'm feeling angry when I take a shower, I put some drops in the water and I just breathe in that wonderful gift of helping to feel and learn from and then release anger that the diva of eucalyptus wants to bring. I have lavender when I'm just overwhelmed with grief, and I have a lang-a-lang when I'm overwhelmed with fear, and tea tree for shock. So find the practices. For me, it usually is something physical, like throwing something in a safe way. I used to break old plates, but I don't do that anymore. So I go to the beach instead. And aroma, but find the thing that helps you feel it, honor it, because the emotion sometimes has an important message. For example, I live in a place right now that's in very bad drought, and we're at level 1 fire danger because the poor earth is just going through a mess with what we've done to her. And I felt fear come up. So I got a go bag and I knew how to gather things, put it in my car. So if I ever have to scoot, I can scoot. That's the right response to fear. But then I just did that and then let it go. I've done what I can do. We are not called to fight fire with fire. We're called to understand. So seek to understand and be curious about the people who are in a very different place. Tell me who you are. How did you come to these thoughts and beliefs? If you had what you wanted, what would that mean to you? What do you want me to know about your story? So seek to understand, get curious from a caring place. We're called to care because these people that have been named enemies, these are our brothers and sisters, our aunts and uncles, our mothers and fathers and grandparents. We're called to build. What do we want to create? We're called to act with compassionate wisdom and loving kindness, and to trust in the Spirit as she births this emerging world of unspeakable beauty. When I get really freaked out, there's a little voice inside of me that says, do you believe the spirit knows what she's doing or not? And I have to say, I do. Even though I can't figure it out, I trust that there is some intelligence so much vaster. And when I'm on that eagle's perch and I can see 20 miles this way and 20 miles that way, I can't see infinitely like she can, but I begin to see the lay of the land. And it's different than when I'm right down there on the ground, afraid or angry or grief stricken. Stay on that perch and find out what helps you go there. What brings you to that place of the perch? Feel, release, trust the mother. And by the way, honor the father, because the father that we have been dealing with is a father that has been crippled by being disconnected from the mother. We need both. We need both. So please know whenever I talk about honoring the mother, I never do that from a place of dishonoring the father energy. The universe is both dancing, creating, fertilizing, celebrating together. Hold that vast perspective that sees the light and darkness and the love that is strong enough to tend to and heal the wounds that we now so clearly see and feel. We are looking at wounds. So, how do we respond? With care, with wisdom, with compassion, with tending, with engagement, with relationship, with beauty, with harmony, or with rejection? This is the choice that we have. I wrote a poem that John has asked me to share when I was sitting with that story of the two wolves. You know, which one do I choose? Which one do I feed? What happened was initially I was just seeing the two of them. One is love, one is fear, and feeding one and not the other. But what began to happen is the more I sat with them, I kept looking at the precious face of this wolf that is fear and rage. And instead of wanting to starve it, I just felt this enormous compassion and love. I felt like, oh my God, the poor thing, it's starving to death. It is so empty. It is so lost. It is so afraid. I don't I don't want to participate in starving it. I want to find another way. So I wrote this poem, and maybe something in this resonates for you. So it's called Choose. There are two wolves in the heart, love and fear. Which do I feed? Like your sister, your eyes are yellow, rich, rough, gray and white. The belly, though, a demanding emptiness. I will not starve you, ignore you, drive you away, pretend your breath is not in my own nostrils, but feed you with the red ripeness, nurturing care she places into my shaking hand. May you know what it is to be full. Come, lie down with your sister here. We have living water too. I believe that that's the invitation to recognize the emptiness, the hunger, the fear, the grief, the loneliness that so much of what we've othered is experiencing. And I am making a choice. I will not participate in demonizing the other. I will not participate in separating.
Hmm.
And that's a choice I think we can make, because the world of beauty is one that welcomes.